Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we're talking about a ship that is pretty dumb, silly, goofy, stupid, whatever you want to call it, especially when you look at her stats, and that is the Tier 10 Freemium British Battlecruiser, the Incomparable. Now, this is a steel ship, and you might be thinking, well, Sealord, why are you talking about a steel ship? Steel is pretty hard to get, takes a while to get, and most of us have to use that coupon to even think about being able to afford a steel ship. Well, my dear viewer, so glad you asked. That coupon is going off of cooldown in exactly 6 days from when this video goes up. And quite a few of you have been asking me, hey, I'm about to be able to get a steel ship, what should I get? Should I get Stalingrad, Shikishima, Incomparable, so forth and so on. So we're going to be taking a look at a few of these steel ships throughout this week, and I figured, well, I already did Shikishima a few weeks ago, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the other 20-inch battleship at Tier 10, that's a steel ship, and that is the Incomparable. And like I said in the intro, she is a ridiculously goofy ship. This ship's stats, I don't know what they were smoking when they made this ship, but it must have been pretty good because this ship is just ridiculous and truly incomparable. It's a very fitting name. So we're going to start by taking a look at the armor that she has, and it ain't a lot. It ain't a lot, but this is a battlecruiser, and this follows the battlecruiser formula that Wargaming has kind of developed over the years, very, very much so, and very well. So her bow is 25 millimeters. She does have some cheek plates that are 127 millimeters with that bottom right corner one, and then the two in front or on top of it are 102 millimeters. So you can potentially bait ships to shoot you in your cheek right there, and unlike the Yami where you will get citadeled, you'll bounce it in Incomparable. Her upper belt armor is 102 millimeters, her main belt armor is 152 millimeters, and her torpedo bulges are 32 on the side. Coming around to her stern, she has a 127 millimeter plate right there, and then the rest of the stern is 25. Stern deck is 25, bow deck is 25, and deck in the middle is 51 millimeters. You take all of that away, and the citadel is not exactly high above the waterline, but she is exposed above the waterline, and that armor belt does come down a little bit. It's a little bit of a turtleback, but it's not like, you know, the German battleship turtleback, and the armor belt there is 279 millimeters behind that plating on the side. So she is for a battlecruiser, the armor is actually pretty good for a Tier 10 battleship. Of course, comparing it to other battleships like, of course, the Kremlin at Tier 10, she's pretty poor. But for what she is, she's actually pretty well protected. Now, this is an actual design that was drawn up by the Royal Navy in order to have this insane battlecruiser that would be kind of the end-all, be-all of battlecruiser design. But given the performance of the British battlecruisers at Jutland, yeah, it was kind of tossed to the side, and of course the expenses and such were quite eyebrow raising. So, going on to her survivability, this is where the first goofy thing comes in. Okay, she has 70,000 hit points. That is a mere 2,300 more than HMS Hood has at Tier 7. Man. Now, granted, the Hood does have a stupid amount of HP for a Tier 7 ship. She has 60, let me pull her up here real quick. I think 67,700 HP at Tier 7 for the Hood, and then you go up to its Tier 10 counterpart, and you got 70,000 HP there. Now, the Hood, again, does have a ridiculous amount of HP for a Tier 7 battleship. She has really Tier 8, Tier 9 battleship levels of HP. And the Incomparable here really does have around a Tier 9 battleship's worth of HP. So it's definitely the lowest battleship when we're looking at the Tier 10 battleships in terms of HP. And that's where that decent armor, you know, it's decent. It's not super well armored, but it's decent. Then you got that low HP coming out after that, so the ship's survivability is pretty low in those regards. We'll get to the other aspect about it here in a moment. But the guns. The guns, the guns, the guns, the guns. She has 6 508 20-inch guns. They reload in 29 seconds base. This is with the range mod. The build I'm running on Incomparable here is the build I was running on her for clan battles. We ran her in the last season before super ships were in because of the things we'll get to here in a moment. So I went with the range mod, so I would have the 20-kilometer range, which if you do want to have a 20-kilometer range with the Incomparable, you do have to run the range mod. My PC is taking off. I don't know why. Please forgive that sound. But anyway, so 29-second reload time. They turn in 24 seconds with the build that I have on her. And I do have Jack Dunkirk on here, and I'll pop the build back up here again so you guys can take a look at that. And the HE does a maximum damage of 7,400. She has a 55% chance of causing fire per shell on target. 85 millimeters of HE pin. She does not have the improved British BB HE pin, or well, British HE pin in general. I mean, 20-inch guns. And the HE comes out the tubes at 751 meters a second. AP does the maximum damage of 19,500 and comes out the tubes at 751 meters a second as well. So some pretty slow shells here with pretty short range. She does have 22 102 millimeter secondary guns. It's not a secondary ship, these are more for just AA. But if you're wondering, they reload in 3 seconds, have a maximum range of 7.4 kilometers, maximum damage of 1500, 6% chance of causing a fire on target, 17 millimeters of armor pin, and they come out the tubes at 811 meters a second. She does have torpedoes, which were not in the original design, but Wargaming slapped them on there because reasons. It's the next goofy thing about this ship. They reload in 96 seconds. They have a 10-kilometer range, do 16,767 maximum damage. They come out the launchers at 62 knots, and they're detected from 1.3 kilometers away. And she can do the single drop thing too because British. She does get the airstrike airstrike armament for ASW duty. She gets 3 attacks, and I think it's out to 11 kilometers, so actually pretty usable there. She actually has good AA, 89 AA rating, which for a World War I design wouldn't make sense, but this is also a World War II refit of this design, hence why her superstructure looks very similar to Hood, and she does have some of the modern Royal Navy AA mounts as well. She has, let's see, she has 4 of the single-mounted 40mm guns. Then she has 12 of the double-mounted Bofors. And then she has 4 of those insane 8-mounted 40mm AA guns. And then she has 26 of the single-mounted 20mm Oerlikons, 8 of the dual-mounted 20mm Oerlikons as well. Maneuverability, this is where the next goofy thing comes in. Base speed, maximum base speed of 34 knots. She has a turning circle radius of 1,160 meters because this is a very long ship. A rudder shift time of 16 seconds. 34 knot space, remember that here in a second. Concealment is where the next absolute just goofball stat comes in. With the module and the commander skills, she has 10.6 kilometers of concealment. Which means if you're looking on screen right now, you'll see Ocean and his Khabarovsk with the build that he's running, which is the Chad Khabarovsk build. He has a 9.7 kilometers of concealment. There is less than a 1 kilometer difference between his concealment in a destroyer and my concealment in one of the largest ships at tier 10. Like, Incomparable's a big ship. I think she's like the 4th longest ship in game. She's not very wide, but she's very long. But despite that, less than a 1 kilometer difference in our concealment ratings. That's just absolute. what the heck working? Oh man, but it gets better. It gets so much better. So we move on into her consumables. So she gets fighter or spotter, your choice. I run fighter because CVs. Then you get hydroacoustic search that goes out to 3 kilometers. It's a very, very short range. It's more like a personal hydro. You're not really going to be doing too much for the team, spotting torps from 3 kilometers away. But for yourself, the ship is maneuverable enough to where you could potentially, well, you may not be able to dodge at 3 kilometers because it's going to take you a kilometer to turn. But you can definitely mitigate the damage. Then she gets engine boost. She gets an 8% boost to her maximum speed. It's active for 180 seconds, which means if you're running the speed flag, which I am running, You can get this ship up to over 40 knots. This massive ship. This just giant battlecruiser over to 40 knots with the speed boost. Yeah, and that's what this ship's very good at. Popping that speed boost running down the flank with 6 20-inch guns and that 10.6 kilometer concealment rating, and just popping up in the enemy team's face and saying hello. And then you get a super heal. This heal regenerates 1680 HP per second. It's active for 22 seconds and reloads in 76 seconds. That's pretty darn good, especially having that quick reload time on the heal, 76 seconds. That's just a little over a minute, and of course with flags, and you could build into it too and get that down even lower. So what does that mean? You have all this in this absolute just nutter of a ship. So you have 6 20-inch guns, you have a fast battlecruiser here that can't really tank that much, but that super heal does definitely increase her tanking capabilities, because you can eat dirt with that super heal and still reprint back about half your ship. It's not quite as insane as the Conqueror's super heal, where you can, get citadeled like 6 times, of course depending upon what you get citadeled by, and not really care about it. It's not quite to that levels, but it does definitely help the ship out quite a lot. So like I was saying a few minutes ago, it's great for running down a flank, being fairly undetected unless there's a CV in the game. Before the enemy team knows what's going on, suddenly you're in their face with a 20-inch gun battlecruiser. Now, the dispersion, the main battery guns, as you're probably seeing in the background right now, it is pretty trolly at times, and with the low velocity of the shells, it's also kind of difficult to lead the ship at times. And now my PC's being completely quiet. I guess it just really doesn't like the port in Warships today. It's weird. Doesn't normally do that. Anyway, it is difficult at times to find the correct lead, and then a lot of times when you finally get it dialed in, it feels like, oh, of course, now this is the time. Dispersions are going to screw me over. And you could, of course, take the reload module, and that will get this reload on these 6 20-inch guns down to around 25 seconds, which is pretty good. But again, I was running the ship in clan battles, so range is more needed in clan battles most of the time than DPM. But of course, especially on a battleship. But that's a different conversation for a different day. You could run either, or it'll work either way. But besides that, the guns are really, really nice. Because, yes, you only have 6 guns, and yes, the dispersion is pretty trolly, but you're normally at least landing 1 or 2 shells. And with 20-inch guns, you only really need to land 1 or 2 shells to be doing a fair bit of damage to whatever it is that you're shooting at. You'll see when I'm fighting this Montana here, when I do land 3 or more shells, the guy's losing 12k, 13k, and he's angled. And of course, you don't care because you have 20-inch guns. So this ship is just stupid, it's dumb, it's fun, it's a blast in random battles, and sometimes in competitive it does have its place. But with super ships being allowed this go round, you can have a 20-inch gun battleship with much better armor, more accurate guns that way. But if super ships get removed from clan battles, which I hope to God they do, she'll probably have a place there. And maybe even in rank 2, the ability to just again sprint down a flank, then have a 20-inch battleship in your face is pretty darn good. But definitely for randoms, she's a blast for randoms. She's a great ship to play in randoms. She's just so much fun. It's definitely a fun ship. So if you're looking for a still ship that's fun in randoms, that's pretty goofy, it's got a lot of fun mechanics to it, this is most definitely a ship for you. If you're looking for a ship that's more competitive oriented and a ship that you can hard carry in, you'll probably want to look at something more like the Stalingrad or the Ragnar for sure, and we'll get to those ships sometime during this week as well. Take a look back at them too. But that's my 2 cents on the Incomparable. So if you're looking for, again, a fun ship, this is the one for you. More something a little bit more competitive, you might want to pass on this. But anyway, take the information that I've given you here and do with it what you wish. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. On our way to 40,000 subscribers. We just got to 36,000 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday and have a wonderful week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.